Okay.
Hello, All About Scouts here. We are very sorry for all the many technical issues we are having today. With all the new Facebook changes and everything, it's kind of, well, let's just say that Scout knows how to think on the fly. So I have here, if you watch the Facebook Live, I wasn't able to get Nick on, but he was able to actually be there and actually be able to see what people were writing and everything. But he saw me open this, but we're going to pretend like I didn't, just for the sake of posterity, I guess. But I wanted to introduce to you guys Nick. Nick, say hi.
Hello, everybody.
So I wanted to support another Scouter and what they were doing. And especially in the times that we're living in right now, we need more of that. We need more people supporting each other. So I wanted to combine that and, obviously my love of reading to use this opportunity to just showcase that, Scouters aren't just people who wear uniforms and like are robots and do nothing but live in the woods and tie knots to trees. We do much more than that. We do stuff outside of our scouting sphere, and of course we have to make a living too, and Scouters are generally not paid for what we do, except for Nick used to work. Where did you used to work?
I used to work for National, actually, until very recently.
So you got paid. I'm so sorry about the layoff.
Yeah, I mean, it was rough. It was 40%, so it's a lot of people lost their jobs, but unfortunately, with everything that's going on, that's what had to happen.
You were, I think, in the first round, right?
Now, there were some earlier rounds earlier in the year. I was furloughed early, and then I came back, and then I was laid off on the big one on July 31st. That was the big 40%. It was, as my boss said, he said, we had already cut the fat. Now, unfortunately, we just have to cut the meat from the bone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, at least you have the book, and I know it doesn't replicate not being able to work at scouting, because when you to work for scouting, to be in scouting, you have to generally really love scouting. Absolutely. And you were telling me a story about how you were going to wear your venturing shirt, but you were wearing your other shirt instead. So I know you love scouting just as much as I do. I mean, I love it so much. I'm gonna wait for the uniform police to come on and tell me I'm drinking coffee from a Girl Scout mug and a Boy Scout uniform.
Yeah, I've got a uniform for every day, and there's multiple weeks in a row where I am doing something with scouting every single night, and of course during the day preparing for stuff. So it's always been my second full-time job that I don't get paid for, but I'm happy to do it.
There's something about it that once you drink out of the scouting well, which does not include mud or anything like that, but doesn't bleed green, but we do. We definitely bleed green and brown, and Scouters, we love what we do. It's okay. Nick and I have been going back and forth because both of our kids have been coming in. It's awesome. You gotta love the pandemic,
Oh yeah.
You never know what's gonna fly right through.
Exactly. That's what even our teachers have said. They're like, please be aware if you're walking behind your kids that you're being appropriate or that you have enough clothes on. I guess they've been having problems with that. It's just like,
oh wow.
And meetings, it's the same thing. You're in a meeting and you hear kids nonstop. So it's the new normal, I guess.
Oh, see, mine, they love to change their virtual backgrounds and see who notices.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We recently had a PAC meeting where we had actually, I have to be honest, I was really surprised we had as many scouts on as we did, given that it was on a Monday night. But we had about 30 more scouts on.
Nice.
And it was actually a really good meeting. They hosted a virtual, what is it called? A Kahoot. And the kids loved it. And it was funny because you heard one of the younger boys, well, if you don't know what Kahoot is, what planet are you living on? Because we were trying to explain to them, like, you have to bring up another thing, and this is how you do it. Because not everybody's done a Kahoot, but apparently everybody has, you know. But it's been a lot of fun. Like, they had a total blast. I'm going to share some screenshots from the questions. So, like, I don't know if you saw the video or the Facebook Live where I was eating ice cream with, and it wasn't normal ice cream, people. It was where I let the scouts pick what was on my toppings, and let's just say it got gross really fast. I managed to eat the whole bowl though, but it was fun, you know. And that's what scouting is all about, you know. So, you know, hopefully you still scout and stuff like that, even given everything going on. And I know you probably are.
Yeah. Especially
with all the knots. I mean, like, I have my knots, and I have, you know, only a couple. I have some that I have fallen off. I'm just gonna let them fall off by the wayside. And like you, I don't have a uniform for every day. Which, given how much I scout, I probably should. But I just have my Cub Scout one, and then, which was actually something that, you know, was actually handed down to me. So it literally is quite literally from the 70s or 80s.
Oh, is it a yellow one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Love those yellows. Those are great.
Yeah, it makes me stand out, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if I, you know, get really shy, I just hide behind any leader because they're all taller than me. Or kid. But yeah, no, what else do you do for scouting?
Okay, so on the Cub Scout level, I'm a den leader of now some Arrow of Light. I am our advancement chair and our unit religious emblem coordinator. Sea Scouts, for my ship, I'm unit religious emblems coordinator, and I'm also the committee chair. For my district, Elm Fork District, I am the religious emblems coordinator for the district. I'm the chaplain, and I am the Cub Scout Roundtable commissioner. And then Circle 10, we have a Sea Scout and Venturing Council-wide roundtable, which I'm an assistant roundtable commissioner for. And then for my faith, the Eastern Orthodox Church, I am the Southern Region Contact and Outreach Coordinator. And then I run the North Texas branch of the EOCS, the Eastern Orthodox Committee on Scouting. And I'm a religious emblem advisor as well. So I teach a lot of kids their religious emblems and set up our local Scout Sundays and all that kind of stuff.
You must have been busy with virtual stuff on that.
Oh, yeah. Actually, we are having a national camporee that's going to be virtual through the EOCS on October 10th. And so last night before the debate, we were on a call getting a lot of that straightened out.
Oh, well, send me the information. I don't mind posting on the page. That's really
cool. Awesome. Absolutely, I will.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I'm doing this because I'm like, that's kind of like how like I am. I'm like, I've lost track of how many I do, you know. That's really, really cool. Like, thank you for all you do for scouting, and that, you know, people realize that, you know, the people that work at National also volunteer as well. Not everybody realizes that, and not everybody does, but you know, a good majority do. I, like you, I hold in my units, in both Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and Scouts BSA, all three. I mean, I say it that way so I can differentiate which one my daughter is in, which one my son is in.
Right.
Even if, you know, some people might not think it's politically correct. And then I am on, I also obviously do Girl Scouts. I do, I'm technically a committee member for the Venturing. I am, you know, ASM, Cub Master. I do district level stuff, and I do several different committees, both district and as well as council, and I've done districts at national, or committees at national as well.
Very nice.
So, you know, and that's just mainly the Cub Scout side. That has nothing to do with the Girl Scout side. So I obviously do that, and I do programming and stuff like that for several different service units, which in our area is like over 100 girls and 100 Girl Scout troops in two service units.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I actually get to work with a lot of Girl Scouts because of my role with the EOCS. So, anybody in any scouting program, whether it be the BSA or the Girl Scouts or any of the others, the American Heritage Girls, any of these other groups, I'm working with them, for them to get their religious emblems and everything. So I get to work with everybody. And like what I was mentioning to you earlier, a lot of our Sea Scouts and our Sea Scout ship are also Girl Scouts. So I'm quite familiar with them. Big
See, I
fan of
love that
scouting how
because
weekend.
a lot of people think they have to do one or the other, and they really don't. Like it's all about, I know a lot of people. It's kind of funny because I'm the troop leader for my Girl Scouts, and I'm the ASM for the one of the Scouts BSA troops, and I have girls that are in both.
Nice.
And so it's interesting to see how things have changed in both, and how they kind of influence and complement each other, and that's really, really cool to see.
Absolutely.
And like, speaking of which, you probably have another meeting after this, just like I do. I have one at 4 with my Girl Scouts because they were so excited with what they were doing that we only got through one thing last night. So
Oh,
we have to
wow.
do parts of the journey today. But I want to get going to the book because I want everyone to be able to like talk about this book too. So what we're going to do is, I'm close to, I believe, almost 8,000 likes, and I have like about 88,300 or something like that followers. But when we get to 10,000 likes on the page, which I actually think will be coming up pretty soon. It won't be tomorrow. It may not be in the next 2 weeks. You never know. But we're going to do giveaways. And I really wanted to start that off by being really super supportive of other leaders. And I had asked Nick, and he graciously agreed to give away one of his books as part of that. And I think that is super, super cool. Now you may have to, go, be like, please sign my book for me. I don't know. He might do that for you. I don't know. But either way, know that we got some really cool prizes coming up for you guys. And also, if you are a scouter or even within the scouting family and you want to share something that you're doing, just DM my page, All About Scouts, on Facebook. That way I can kind of keep things separate. Because like Nick will know, he probably has a different email for his book and a different email for his, scouting, because you have to. Yeah. And so it's just much easier to have it all there. And so, I've had people where I've reviewed their, a bandana, which was really cool, by the way. I have, reviewed where one of the other admin, actually, of Boy Scout volunteers, she did like little like keepsakes for and crafts for Christmas and stuff like that. So I did that for her as well. So there's a lot. I mean, like, really nothing is without the realm of possibility. The biggest thing is that we are all supporting each other and showing that we don't just scout. We don't just do this. Anyway, so I made you co-host so you can share your screen, because this is his book. It's so fabulous. And I love the feel of a real book. But you do have this on Nook and Kindle, right?
Yes, absolutely. It is. I have it available in over 20 countries, and in the United States, last count, I was well over 50 different places that it was available. You've got Amazon, Barnes and Noble, you've got Walmart, Books A Million, Half Price Books, Alibris, who actually is running ads with it on there, which I just kind of found out. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. They put it on sale and then ran an ad for it. So I'm like, that's pretty awesome. So that's actually the lowest price, but yeah, it's available in lots of places, both as an ebook and as a paperback.
I love it. That's really cool. I really, really like that. It'd be really cool to even do where you did like a study group or something like that, like where you got, because like what age would you say this would be good for? Because I would think it would be good for older scouts, right?
Right. Yeah. My publisher considers that the primary is 14 and up. It's technically in the young adult section, but where it can be in as a young adult, but it's also I would say the majority of my readers have been adults, but a lot of kids have read it too, and they've just absolutely loved it. My kids have read it too, but everyone's kids are different, what their maturity is, what you want them reading. And my kids who are 7 and 10 have both read it as well.
Oh yeah, like my kids would probably tear through this so fast, honestly. So like to give you guys an idea of like it's spaced out, so it's not like super small, which is nice.
Yes, that's one of my pet peeves is so many of those little pocket paperbacks. The font is so small, you start reading and after an hour you have a headache and it's just not comfortable to read. So I said, I don't want to go to what's considered huge font. I want to go just to the edge of that. So that's where I went with the 14-point font, and it's nice and readable.
Well, that's important for people who also have eyesight problems too, who, can't see as well. Like, I love my dad. I'm gonna call him out here. Sometimes when he's on his Kindle, he'll actually, make the words larger, which is totally understandable. But that's great about that too. And I love that you have what's it called? Can you explain what this is? Like, this looks like almost like definitions of like some of the terms that you use.
Yeah, so I have indexes in there, and it explains some of the things. Like there's clerics in there, and it explains what the different levels are. And each of my books are going to continue with that, explaining a little bit more, because I'm really glad I've done that, because a lot of my readers actually haven't been fantasy readers their whole lives or something. They're new to it. So like learning these little things, they're like, oh, okay, well, that helped me understand this. I flipped through there, and then the second time I read through, I just flew right through it, understanding what all these terms meant and everything.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And you also even did like the clothing and stuff too. So like if I were to write like a review, I would almost say like this would be good to put in the beginning, because then before they start reading, then they can actually like read it. But I like that it's in the back too, because some people will just go right in knowing everything. Like my kids probably will come in and be like an hour later, like, so I read that, I knew everything, and this is how I felt about it. And like my kids literally read books this thick, like that. So this is great. I may actually have my especially my older scouts read it and see what they think.
All right, awesome.
This is really cool. Do you have like any imagery in here?
The only imagery really is on the next to last page, which is the cover for the next book.
Ooh. Whoa. Okay, you guys, I have to share. Okay, so this is like this one, right? That's really, really cool in of itself. And I love that you have, and like, again, I haven't read this, but like the female is like in the front and she is something fierce. But then like you have that is awesome. That is really detailed and really, really cool.
Yeah, my cover artist, Stan Yak, he's an amazing artist. But what you mentioned about the female up front and everything, that's actually been one of the comments a lot of people have said is, this is a strong female protagonist, and she is definitely the lead of the book. She will be for the whole series. But people are like, it's so rare that you get a female protagonist and she's not there as, oh, help save me, or she's turned into a sexual object or something like that. They're like, you actually wrote her as she's this powerful individual and other people want to follow her. And that's been one of the big things I've gotten in reviews, that people really like that strong female protagonist in here.
I would have to agree with something like that. And it's like, it's not to talk down books that do the other, the more traditional, sense, but I think that there's a role and a place for both. Because I think that but I like seeing the balance, if that makes any sense. Absolutely. I love seeing this, obviously, as someone who, does scouting and, happens to be a woman, at least last I checked. And either that or not, I like explaining how I got 3 kids. But yeah, no, this is really cool. What got you into writing?
Well, honestly, the the little spark way back in high school, I had this teacher, Miss Fornoff, who she really challenged me. And at first, what I thought, man, this teacher must hate me. But no, she saw more in me than I saw in myself. And she actually entered my writings into contests, unbeknownst to me. and um, she like I would announce that I had won these awards, and I'm like, what? How did this happen? It's like this was just an assignment, and then she actually ended up awarding me a varsity letter in writing. So that was the very beginning. And then as far as this story goes, I mean, I'd long been blogging for, I've been blogging for well over 25 years. And I had this concept of this character Vhaidra, and I wanted to write it down. I'm like, okay, well, I have this short story in my mind. Let me go ahead and write it down. I started writing, and it's kind of this weird thing you hear sometimes from authors, but the characters started speaking to me. They started telling me their story, and it turned into this full novel. And then I had started having more stories and more stories. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got a whole series of stories here. And I wrote it all up. And then I had interest from a couple publishers over time, but I really hadn't had time to sit down and compare all the different offers and everything like that. But when COVID came through and when I was furloughed at first, one of them that had been reaching out to me for the last 3 years reached out again and ended up giving me a pretty good deal that I thought, well, you know what, this is the way to go. I have some time off of work, so let's go ahead, let me polish it up a little bit and send it to the editor. And then we worked it out. And then come August 1st, the day after I was laid off, it was published.
Okay, you had to talk about almost like divine timing. That's crazy. Like,
Yeah, so
or just coincidental. But that's really, really cool.
yeah, it definitely was a mix of emotions where on the 31st, they let me know, hey, you and about 110 people are all being laid off today. We apologize. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, tomorrow my book comes out. Okay, I guess I'll just focus on that now.
Oh, please let this book be really good.
Yes, exactly. Unfortunately, it doesn't pay right away because the
Yeah.
way publishing works, it's 120-day delay after a 40-day delay at the end of the month. So, I mean, it's a long time before I ever get to see any funds from it. But it's like, at least I've got something to fall back on, with a lot of people didn't have. So
That's really true. I mean, but I do have to ask, did you have to go back to calculus to figure out how much, or when you're getting?
yeah, almost. It really seemed like that. It's like, okay, well, first they have the month, and then after the month, they have 40 days to report actual sales. And then we have 120 days for that to calculate it, put it all together. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, let's just get this thing done.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, I mean, because the one thing that you and I have in common besides scouting is also blogging, although you've been blogging a lot longer than I have. And also, I've actually been writing this book. I started back when, probably back in college, really. And I had my teacher, Paul, he was someone who we had taught, and he was like, I really want you to be able to tell this particular story that you've written about, that you've turned in, and I want you to take this and I want you to write a book with it. And it's, you know it, like when you're an author, it really, for some stories to have to be just fully written in their what's the right wording, to be fully formed in a way that is even a good finished product, or even a great finished product. I mean, I'm a perfectionist, but to have that finished product, it takes time.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't realize that writing, it can be an art for some people. And I know, so that's why I was like, there's no way that you sat down and wrote this book in that short a time frame. So I know this had been brewing for a while.
Yeah, and I wrote the majority of it 6-7 years ago, and I just sat on it I had an original acceptance from a publisher and did not like the terms at all. With my publisher I went with, I still retain copyrights. I still, I'm able to do my own little marketing things, kind of what we talked about. I've got Lego minifigures of 2 of the characters coming out in the next year. And then the next year after, there should be 2 more. I also have a role-playing game.
Incredible. You have a role-playing game too?
There's a role-playing game called Heroes and Treasure, and Vhaidra and Nikodemos will be characters in there. And the characters that people are playing will encounter Vhaidra, and I can't spoil it too much, but they will go on a journey that she leads them on, and they will discover Nikodemos, and there will be rewards for it. So it's little things that I work on, just kind of little cross-promotional type of things that I'm able to do and have control over my characters.
That's really cool. Like there's part of me that wants to make a joke of, does she make them learn scout skills along the way, like knots and tokenship, and the rewards that they get is like, here is your scout rank, here is your first class rank. That would be really funny, actually.
It would in many ways be very fitting.
But that would be really cool. Like if you ever wanted to share that, my kids are, I think you actually have a really good market for for teens, and what they're requiring for them to read, like in schools and stuff nowadays. I wouldn't be surprised if my 12-year-old is reading this, and and even the 10-year-old that you saw earlier. I say 10. He's actually 9. He'll be 10 in a few months. I might have 3 double digits. Holy moly. That just kind of hit me a little bit. But he would sit and read this and love it.
Awesome.
He's so I think like your audience may potentially even be younger, especially with the stuff that they're reading in school. So I love it. How did you find about the Lego figurines? Did that just kind of like happen?
So yeah, I reached out. All of these deals have been things where I've actually reached out and said, hey, here's what I have going on. Here's what I can show you. I don't have all full numbers at this point, but here's what I can show you on popularity. Here's a sample book for you to check out and describe the characters. And the Lego one took longer. The Heroes and Treasure one, we were actually with Davis and Daughters. I was able to get that done very quickly, just a few emails. And I've already got concept art of how Vhaidra will look in that one. I can pull that up because it's a little bit more of an anime look, but let me pull up that picture and then I can share it with everyone what that art looks like. I don't unfortunately have the Lego one yet, but I should have that in the next month or 2 when they will have an
I will
example.
so share that. That's really cool.
Let's see. Where have I got this thing?
I don't know, depending on when we hit 10,000 views, we might be able to, try to push up people out to get that too, especially for like, you're gonna be really cool is you're doing it right when Christmas is happening.
Yeah,
I see what you're doing. You're real smart, man. That's awesome. He's planning to take over the world, you guys. He just didn't tell you.
Come join me. We'll take over together. Let me see.
We'll make you all earn scout rank.
There you go.
And you have to at least get to first class because
Absolutely.
Baden Powell wanted everybody to get to first class. Hi, hon. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I'm surprised my kids haven't come in yet and been like, hi.
Let's see. Let me download that from my email. I apologize. I'm not finding it on my computer.
So you're having you're having just as many. I still cannot believe all the technical issues. Facebook just changed everything.
Yeah, couldn't get it on Facebook, couldn't get it on YouTube, and eventually just had to do hey, we'll do Zoom and load that up. So,
well, it'd be really cool. I would wonder if we could do. I have an idea. So my girls are working on their media journey, right? It would be really, really cool. And it's interesting because one thing we're talking about right now for my Girl Scouts, and this is like where they can support each other, because they're working on this journey right here, which is the media one. And the really cool thing about that is that you know, of teaching them how, you know, how they see themselves in the media, you know, like, do they see themselves as, you know, being strong, or, you know, like you said, you know, like, oh, they only see people in the media that, you know, are going, oh, help me, you know.
Right.
And it was kind of interesting, like, scouts that are my daughter's age, they don't seem to feel that they aren't as seen now, which is a good thing, because, you know, growing up, you know, a lot of people felt like they were not seen in media, and that has changed dramatically. But to, like, talk about all this process would be really super cool with them, because of saying, like, this is how long that process takes to be able to create something. You know, this is what, and you can even include the IP badge into it, like the intellectual property. It's okay, he's good. Hi. Because it talks, you know, talking about the process and how much goes behind it, you know, because a lot of people don't realize how much goes behind media. It's an insane amount. Whether we love it or hate it, I like to choose it does more good than bad, but that's, you know, it's the power is within the beholder. You can share anytime, by the way.
Okay, I'm just downloading it. And now I'm just waiting for the viewer to open up, and then I will share it.
You know what you should do? You should take, speaking of media and media journeys, you could take this picture and make a background for Zoom for yourself too.
Yeah. See, the book is right there.
Yeah.
In my background.
I keep doing that
too. Okay. Can you see the picture?
I can. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, that's initial art that hasn't been colored yet or anything, but that's how she will appear in Heroes and Treasure. It's a little bit more of an anime look, but I think,
we'll color it. That's really beautiful. Did you draw that, or did your
no? That was actually the game producer, his artist who does everything for that game in that kind of an anime style. She drew that, and they sent that over to me, and they're like, can you please look this over, see if any changes need to be made or anything like that before we go with the final product. And I'm just like, no, that's absolutely beautiful. Go ahead.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well, I've got lots of scouts in mind if you ever wanted someone to test out the game, because I think every scout I know is playing games.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, this Heroes and Treasures game is really neat. It's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons, but it's much more simplified, where anybody can jump right into it. You don't need to, oh, okay, how do I figure out this? How do I figure out this? It's a simplified thing for kids and for people who don't have a background in these type of games, where you just have like 1 or 2 dice that you're rolling, and makes things really easy.
Yeah, that would be that would be me. I play lots of games, but you know D&D I have not actually played a lot of. So it'd be like my introduction to D&D, sort of.
Yep. Yeah, my kids actually play D&D now, but they started off with Heroes and Treasure, and that was, it was really easy, and it made their transition into D&D much easier.
That's really, really cool. That's really super cool. You should look into being, not that you need more, roles, but it's a habit. But you should look into being a MBC, because you would be a really good merit badge counselor for some of the merit badges.
Yeah, I'll probably be looking into that. My son will cross over in January, and the troops are already telling me they want me to take positions and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll see what I can do. But yeah,
you mean definitely they actually asked you? They didn't fall and tell you?
Yeah, they didn't actually. But I do teaching at University of Scouting, both in my council and the council next door. So, I'm used to teaching a lot of different things anyway, and I've taught things at C-Badge, which, if anybody has not taken it, C-Badge is the most amazing course that you can take in the BSA, and I recommend it for everybody. I just got to throw the props out there. They've been doing them all virtual, so it's a very low cost, and it's a cool little badge that you get, and it's a really good leadership program that's out there that a lot of people don't know about.
No, I think I still need to get the name tag first.
Yeah. Well, this is one that a friend of mine made for me. He made one for each of my uniforms. He's like, here, I got one for each of your uniforms since you got all the different colors.
Oh, that's a good point. See, then you just swap them out. Actually, no, my Sonia, who is the scoutmaster for the Scouts USA troop, she was like, "Oh yeah, because like you sew your numbers on, right? So like I'm, ASM for for I almost said pack. I am not ASM for a pack. I'm the Cubmaster. The ASM for Troop 33, like this is the shirt I wore during the summer, but like these are sewn on, right? Like you have to, either get another shirt or then like do the Velcro. And so she actually gave me Velcro. I have to find it because I have to do this one and the numbers.
Yeah,
so I'm like rotating between different badges and numbers all over the place.
Yes, I used to do Velcro actually, and then eventually I'm like, you know what? Since what I talked about, there's literally days where I have something every single day, and it was like right after work that I'd be going to. I'm like, let me just make sure I have a uniform for each day. I'll have a couple of the beige uniforms. I've got 2 Sea Scout uniforms. I got 1 venturing uniform. Okay, I'll be good. I can go to whatever I need to go, and I don't need to worry about swapping out and just have one for whichever position, whatever I'm going to.
Oh, see, it gets worse when you're doing 2 different things together, like this one, right? Like even though it says ASM, like I will admit that I've worn it. Like I wore it at our pack meeting, even though it was our pack, because I was like, well, it's the same number, it works, The only patch that needs to change is this one. But when this was like way back in the day, I used to wear the yellow shirt when I was just a den leader. But I would wear like a blue I found like some blue vest, and then I would put my Girl Scout tabs on it, because when we did the 4th of July parade, I was leading both my Cub Scouts and my Girl Scouts. So like I had to do both. And I just felt like I was like, I would feel wrong about marching in a 4th of July parade with just one uniform on if I'm taking my girls as well.
Right.
Because technically you wear it to, not only to fit in, because, this is cool. This is, like Boy Scout swag, because we want to wear this all the time. But it's so we're all uniformed, right? Like it's so who to go to and talk to when you're marching down. You know the difference between a leader and a parent.
Right.
But it sucks when you're also doing it for Girl Scouts. So I would have them all come together, and so I would just either wear a sash, which I think I actually have over here. So if we really want to get uniform policing, I could probably find it real quick, just for the pleasure of seeing people freak out about it. But I used to wear the sash, because at the time they didn't have the Girl Scout uniforms for the leaders. So I would just wear like a cadet sash, because it was also the beige, so it would actually kind of go.
Right, yeah.
I would put the right numbers on it. But then what happened was with the Den Mom shirt, and it's called Den Mom shirt if anyone wants to know, the yellow shirt. It's old school, but I love it. But anyway, so I would have that, but the person who had it before me, my mom, she had the patch right here. I can't get it off. I got some of the stuff around off, but then like people don't use badge magic.
Badge magic is of the devil.
Oh yes, and people use it like it's candy, and because it left a mark and I can never get off.
Yeah.
And so I was like, if I take this off, I'm worried that's either going to rip the fabric, or that I'm going to have this like really horrible spot in one area. And so what I did is I just put the sash over that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so that way, because it was actually a council patch of all things, like your council patch. I'm all.
Oh wow.
This one's right here, right? But they used to be circles that would go right here, which I did not know.
That's interesting. I knew the community strip, which was just kind of like a half circle type of thing they had, but that's an interesting. And I know also the Den Mother shirt, the yellow one, they were actually able to wear the temp patches up above, because it didn't have a pocket, so they could actually wear it above where it says Boy Scouts of America.
Well, and the Den Mom shirts are like this one comes like close to like my elbow, The
Mm-hmm.
other one is up to here, like up to here, I think.
Right. There's
So
not very much
it's
room.
much, yeah. I think I was trying to fit something on, and I had to like crowd everything like really close together. And actually, I have to update this, so I have to take this one off and this one because we have our troop. Our troop just turned 100 years old, so I have to like take this off.
Oh.
Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'll do like this patch as like because it's a good keepsake patch. It's really really beautiful.
Yeah, that is really nice.
And definitely DC.
Yep.
But maybe I'll take it off and then I can like, give it away on All About Scouts. I actually have, speaking of which I'll do another separate post about, but I have way too much Scout stuff in here. It's kind of I have 20 Pinewood Derby patches from this year to give away to a pack. Wow. That I just want to gift because our pack isn't going to need them anymore. And again, we help each other out. It's what we do.
Right.
It's like my friend used to say, she could always come to my house and ask for like, do you have mustard? Yeah, I have that. Here you go. Like pretty much anything. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. I have scouting stuff everywhere.
Oh yeah, it gets out of hand, and then it's like, oh, okay, now I need to find something. There is stuff everywhere.
I have to actually reorganize all of it, really. I mean, make it a lot nicer. But it's funny because as soon as, but then when you go to find something, you're like, but I know where that is. It is, that Boy Scout pamphlet is like 3 under the other, the Girl Scout books, which are also over here that is covered by the, it's just the way our brains work because we're used to having to think so much on the fly that we just end up going, okay, I'll remember I put it here.
Right.
And then if someone moves it, the whole world is, gone up. But yeah, no, yeah, if you ever like wanted to do a live, I really want to do, I have a set of lives I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. But if you ever wanted to join any as a leader and chime in, I think it's really cool to have a perspective from someone who does not just Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts or Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, but someone who also does Sea Scouts and venturing, and you have a clear understanding across the board, especially BSA wise. Mm-hmm. And there's a good number of those kind of leaders, but there's a lot of new leaders coming in as well. And I think that, like you're in Cub Scout volunteers and Boy Scout volunteers and all the other volunteers groups.
Yep, all the programs, I'm there everywhere.
So you see how people can get in those groups, and it's interesting to see. So there are some that go way off into left field, but most of them, are really really good, and it's interesting to see, the idea of trying to get both, people from all around the country who are from different, all different walks of life, but also from different age groups coming together. Because what you remember about scouting, like I was never, I'm making up for it big time. That's a good question. Were you ever in scouting as a kid?
I was a Cub Scout, and then I was a Boy Scout. I only made it to first class. And then I moved out to somewhere where there wasn't a troop, and that was the end of my Boy Scout journey. But yeah, I was. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I really didn't think about it a lot after that. And then one day, my oldest son comes home. He goes, "Oh, Dad, the Cub Scouts, they're gonna meet tonight, and we can go there, and I can do archery, and I can do all this. Can I join?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, of course." And then, one thing leads to another. I end up being a leader, take on another position. All this stuff happens, and I realize all these things that were like really foundational to why I am who I am. A lot of it was stuff I learned in Scouts, and so that all came back, and it's like, oh, that explains that reason. People are like, why are you always this way? Why are you so trustworthy? Why do you use this? Why are this? And I never had the answer before, but now,
loyal, helpful, friendly.
Yeah, and that's where it came from.
That's where you could just be like, hold on a second, like just get the Scout book out. Hold on a second, repeat after me. Scout is.
Yes.
That would be the best way to do it. Just because it's fun and it's sarcastic at the same time, but it's true, I think that's one reason why, like when I talk about scouting, I always say it's probably one of the most well-rounded programs, like especially when it's done right. Like just with anything, you're going to have things that are always done to a point where someone's going to have a bad experience, but 99% of the time, or 95% of the time, like, it really is a very good program, and what it teaches the kids, it will always stay with them.
Right.
You know, and plus, you know, like, you know, when your kids sign up, you're like, ooh, oh, you get to do archery. Oh yeah, I get to do archery too. You know, like,
Yeah.
I will say I learned a lot in scouting, you know, and I think it's just as beneficial, you know, so maybe I should do a video about that, because I know some people who are always so scared to step up and help lead. And, you know, I was not intending to be a leader, you know, but I will say, like, it's taught me a lot, and I'm very, very grateful for it.
Oh, definitely. There's that old saying that volunteering is the most selfish thing you can do, because you get so much out of it. But, you know, besides the fact that obviously these kids get so much out of it, but you get so much back yourself. And, you know, you get to feel good about the things you've taught these kids, and they'll have that moment like I did. Oh, those leaders teaching me that stuff as a scout when I was younger, that's what helped me become the man or woman that I am today. And when they have that aha moment, that's because of you. So people volunteering to be scout leaders are helping to make the world a better place. And I think what's more valuable than that?
Honestly, especially right now,
Yeah.
not much. I mean, I give 1,010% to anyone who's volunteering right now. I'm actually working. So if you're a leader, if you're one of my leaders, just blah, 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 blah. I'm actually trying to work on finding a surprise for my leaders. Even though, like, I have to find something within, like, price range that I can do, but there's a good core of leaders that have not given up, that have stayed, and no matter how much stress they've had in their lives. And, you know, COVID has added a lot of pressure to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, I was already kind of, doing 3 different schooling types, meaning one kid was doing online public school, the other one was public school, the other one was homeschooled. So, like, I've already kind of had a little bit of that going on already previously.
Mm-hmm.
But I know the pressures I'm still feeling because of COVID-19. I'm like, I can understand why some people are just like, tap, I'm out, like, you know, and a lot of leaders have chosen not to do that. And leading during right now is just so much more harder.
Yeah.
And they're still doing it with a smile on their face, with a spirit and a grit, and it's going to pay off in dividends.
Absolutely.
It really, really will, even if we never see it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing like, you know, watching all these boys that are like this tall, all of a sudden, you know, like, shoot up super, super tall. Like, one of the boys, you know, he used to be shorter than me. I have picture proof. But he is now, like, kind of be like 6.5 feet.
Oh, wow.
He's really tall. And I, like, tried my hardest. This is a fun story. But, like, when all of our boys crossed over, I had this most, you know, like, mwahaha moment, where they were like, oh, Miss Victoria, I'm taller than you are. I was like, that is such an achievement. Let me give you a clap for that, you know, because I'm really short. But then, like, I was like, ooh, I can wear high heels, and then I can fool them. And especially, I've thought that actually having these high heels, because they were pretty high, would, like, I would actually at least hit eye level with him, and I didn't. And this was back when he was in AOL, when he was in 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
He was taller than me, even with heels on. But I did trick one of the boys, and he was like, Miss Victoria, what happened?
Micro spurt.
I just said, I don't know. Maybe you got shorter. And he went, no. Like, he actually for a second, like, was like, no. And then he was like, because I had never done that before. You know, I do lots of silly stuff. I'd never done that one before. But it was crazy. I didn't see it until after we saw a picture. Come here. After we saw a picture. I opened it from the back because it's not an ad, I swear. Thank you. Okay? You're not eating the entire bag by yourself. Okay, you're not eating half the bag by yourself.
Challenge accepted.
He really will sit and eat the entire bag of chips by himself.
Oh, wow.
And then be like, is there more?
Oh,
Like,
my God.
I think he's going to be my tallest, actually.
Uh,
But yeah, no, it's always fun to see that, you know. So if you're a leader, still keep it fun and keep it light when you can, because we all need it. But thank you, everybody, for what you're doing for leadership, because it's not easy.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, there's been a number of units that have folded, even in our area, because of COVID, because they stopped doing things. And it's like, that's such a shame to hear that that's happening. And, you know, for us, what we're doing is virtual pack meetings. But we're actually doing our den meetings out in a park. Everyone has to wear masks. We keep social distancing and do our stuff. And it's a struggle to do it. And it's a struggle to get them to actually social distance. They want to group all up, but it makes it thankfully for our kids, they said it was exciting because they're at home all day. They see each other virtually, but to actually be physically there, even though they know they have to stay away, and that scouting is such an important part of their lives, and they really love scouting. It's been really good to do. I know we can't do that everywhere. It doesn't work for all leaders, doesn't work for all kids. It doesn't work in all areas. You know, some places you just still have to do virtual what you can. Thankfully, hopefully people are partaking of what National has set up on the Cub Scout level, where they have actual den meetings that are virtual den meetings that are already recorded that you can do as part of your virtual meetings and make things a lot easier for leaders.
Ooh, you guys send that to me.
Yes, I absolutely will.
Yeah, because I mean, like we actually lost one of our leaders this year due to the stress that they were kind of under, and like I would love. We're having a talk actually tomorrow. Today's Wednesday, right? So
today
tomorrow.
is Wednesday. Yep.
Tomorrow, and with the prospective leaders, and if I can give them something that they can use for their tigers, it would make life so much easier for them, and hopefully, you know, let them know that because I want to, you know, make sure everyone is super supported, you know. By the way, I did create a challenge, and now that I've shared it with my boys, I can share it here. I did something where, like, okay, so you see like half my hair is dyed, right?
Yep.
So I told my boys that if they attend meetings, like they listen, they social distance, and you know they're working on their ranks and everything, and they come to the October pack meeting, I will actually let them choose, like what color I will dye my hair, like.
Oh wow.
And it's not going to just be like normal colors. And my Girl Scouts, like they found out yesterday, and they got, but can we come? I was like, yeah, you can come. Like mainly because you're in my troop, I'll let you guys come and you guys can help pick. You know, and of course they were the ones last time during the ice cream social who wanted me to eat paper. So I think I'm more worried about my my Girl Scouts going, because one of them was like, you should do traffic cone orange, and I'm like, no, that would not be nice. But I actually might share that live when I do it, because that one will be a fun one.
All right. I am actually sending it to you via Zoom right now, and then I'll send it to you via Facebook Messenger too if you need it. I actually sending to the Brian on Scouting blog article because it links to it, but it also links to some other resources that are really good for like virtual outings and stuff like that, which would be great for a new Tiger Den leader trying to figure out outings.
That's true. I mean, the other thought too with your units, and I'm doing it with ours, is, you know, like I know another Cub Master in our area, and I said, well, why don't we get our packs together and we work together? We get those leaders together, because a lot of the times we have maybe one leader and one assistant, right? And, you know, for everything you do, you have to have 2 deep leadership and all kinds of stuff. I wanted to try to create, and maybe I'll do a different Facebook Live on this because it's actually a really good tip, is to get 2 packs together. It's not always the easiest to do, but it is super duper helpful, because then you have like, I'm sorry, I can't make this, you know, I suddenly came down with COVID, you know, like if I did that and I called Tim and I said, hey, Tim, like if you watch some of the other lives on our Facebook page, you will actually have virtually met Tim, because he is on some of my lives, but I know him really well. And so I was like, okay, well, why don't we have our packs work together? And so we got all of our leaders together. So we said, you know, our We Below leaders, get our We Below leaders and their We Below leaders together. And if I ever got sick or anything, or I came down with COVID, I could call Tim and be like, hey, I can't make it. Can you help me? Because we are both Cub masters, and it would go vice versa. And I think that that's super duper important. Yeah, maybe I'll have you come on and do like leader tips with me, because it's something that I'm going to be starting.
All right, yeah.
I was just waiting for the right time, and I think that it's not only the right time, it's overdue.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a number of units who still haven't had that first meeting of the Cub Scout year, or even Scouts BSA troops that they kind of stopped and they haven't started it, and they could use the tips. And how do we get started back up again? How do I run a meeting when I'm doing things virtually? What are my options, you know? And again, depending on the area, but it's been different because our dens have always met in the same place at the same time. So it's very different for us that our den has no other scouts around, because in our area, youth groups can only meet if they are 10 or less. So we can only do it by the den. And that's the only way that we can do it. And I know what's kind of cool is in Scouts BSA, it's going back old school. There's a lot of patrols that are doing patrol campouts, and they're like, we can't do it as a troop because of everything that's going on, but we can do it as a patrol. We can do the social distancing. They're doing cooking different. They're cooking for themselves so that there's no cross contamination or anything like that.
Yeah, but we've been doing that too with our Scouts BSA. Like, you have to bring everything yourself.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you do, like, this is gonna show how much have not drinking my water today. But like, this is like a perfect water bottle. Like, you just get one of those gallon ones that you can drink from, and like you could take this with you when you go, instead of having to. I know, like, this is me realizing I so have not drinking. I finished my Girl Scout coffee. Now I need my very water.
There you go. And one of the cool things with Sea Scouts, even though a lot of people picture it as, sailing big sail ships and everything, a lot of Sea Scouts have been doing
I'm sorry.
No, they've been doing kayaking, because you can very easily all go as a group and kayak and be social distancing. You're out on the water, you're going to be 6 feet away. And we've really seen kayaking take off with the Sea Scouts, them doing that type of thing.
Well, even Cubs and Boys, because April, and you know who April is.
Yes.
She's the I don't know her official title, so we're gonna say the awesome Scouter of Programming.
Director of Programming, I believe, is what the official title is. Yeah, April's awesome.
The awesome Director of Programming. So yeah, she actually went out and did that with I think one of her scouts. So it has seen a dramatic increase. I know my Scouts BSA troop did it recently as well. But I will say, and this is a whole nother topic for a different live. I know I'm coming up with them all over the place. I don't know where they're coming from. Actually, these are ones I've been wanting to do, but like really focusing on, it's great that they can do that, right? But then what about the scouts who don't know how to swim and they have no access to learning how to?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a challenge. And even people with access, there's a lot of places that aren't doing swim classes right now.
Yeah.
So it becomes
and the bathtub
really
doesn't
hard.
count.
No. Yeah, it's really hard to self-teach yourself if you don't have access to something to try and do it. It's a unfortunate situation, which hopefully clears up soon. But yeah, that definitely becomes a challenge.
I really, really hope. Just praying, please. Because I'm a total E all the way, and I am not. I like. It's been a little tough being like cooped up inside. Also, it would be really super cool to have, if we wanted to do like where we had a couple scouts review the book and then have them interview you live. That would be super cool.
Oh, absolutely, that'd be great.
Like, I know, like, I probably would ask my two older kids, and then my younger one by default will want to do it. But he has some profound questions. Actually, it's kind of funny. He'll be like, but this and this and this and this, and did you ever think about the meaning of the world? I'm like, where did that pop in the middle of that conversation?
Nice.
But yeah, we should do that. That would be really super cool.
Absolutely, love to.
And yeah, I'm putting together like a panel of people for different like topics, and I do with Tim, Christy, myself. and a couple other ones. I'm still trying to get, you probably know who Lori is, and you know who Scott is.
Yep.
And I'm trying to get both of them like in as well, because you know, you get Scott and I in a room and it gets lively real quick, because we can have he and I, like, we're good buds, but it's funny because if we disagree on something, we'll be like, this is how you know, like how we feel or whatever, and then we'll be like, grr, and then the next sentence will be, so how are you doing? Like, and that's not that common, that you can have like an intense good conversation with someone and then be able to like just be like, oh yeah, what's up? And there's a clear understanding that, you know, we just have different viewpoints and we respect that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's one thing I love about scouting, because you meet more and more people like that within scouting, probably more so than anywhere else, I feel like.
I would agree with that completely.
You know, because a scout is trustworthy, you know, friendly, kind, obedient, obstinate. Oh yeah, well, that's another fun story too, because we were at camp Ross, I want to say, and they had a sign up that they would teach you the scout law. So they would take you outside. It was like an amphitheater, and they would teach the I think it was the Weebles, or it might have been the AOLs, but I was pretty sure that it was the Weebles, and they would hold it up and they would teach you the scout law. And this was before the scout law was part of what the Cub Scouts did.
Right. Yeah.
And so they would go, you know, trustworthy, courteous, friendly, and then it would come to obedient, but they misspelled obedient, and so it was obstinate. So it was really, really, really hard. Like, so when we would I'm not even gonna lie, I was one of those that after that point, when we were in our dens, we would just go obstinate, you know, like we just like we kept with it, you know, because it was something that was just within our unit. So I had to like switch my brain to say obedient again after like my voice crossed over.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many like good conversations I feel like scouters can have. I'm trying to like find the book. I have so many books, it's ridiculous. But yeah, no, I think it'd be really cool to do a review on this and even ask questions live, and then, you know, get kids involved too.
I'd love to do that.
So that would be really cool. Like I said, you should be in NBC. And the nice thing about the virtual stuff is we can get people from all over the country. Because I told you before I got on that I have a Girl Scout that is in Portland, Oregon, and she's in my Girl Scout troop, and I'm in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
So I've always been of the mind frame that I don't turn people. I'm not going to turn someone away, and I will work with someone. You know. So it's been really, really cool, and that's like, I mean, with all the stuff that's happened, the virtual option is great because then you're able to serve in a different capacity as well.
Absolutely.
And we already have to do that anyway, because not just because of COVID-19, but because of COVID-19, but, you know, this whole idea when we do scouting of it has to be, you know, in person or this way. It's not as feasible right now because of COVID-19, but with people that have immune compromised systems, like they just can't, even if we wanted to go do something social distance, they're not allowed to, you know, for any given reason. So I've had to work with that. So to me, it's just like, you know, the person that's 2 miles away that can't come because they're immune compromised, same thing.
Absolutely.
I just mail it to you.
Yeah, we've been pushed forward. We've had to learn new things and make new realizations. So there's been positive that's come from it, and we're learning that we can do this in a different way.
Yeah, and I mean, absolutely. And I think it'll be really cool to see what some of the units do going forward, and again, how this and I keep saying this, but how it translates when we come back. Because the idea of being able to do a meeting, and I think I did this where Ken was a Cub master in Texas, and he's a friend of mine. He literally was like, I had this really cool activity. We had someone, you know, we have someone from NASA who's an Eagle Scout. He's going to talk to our pack. Do you want to join? So we had a pack from Texas and a pack from Tacoma Park, Washington, D.C. that came together and did a virtual event. And that was really, really cool to see.
That is cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, you know, yeah, I'll think of, I think between two creative brains, we can come up with a lot of really cool topics to talk about, and we can even extrapolate them from here and work together. This will be great.
All right. Very good. I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. I mean, I love that. This just got me jazzed. Yay.
Yay.
But I actually, so of all funny things, so I will, I'll download this and I'm gonna post it on the Facebook. For us to do a Facebook Live, though, it's gonna have to be a little bit later, because I literally have to get off and then switch to my Girl Scout account, and then
Right.
be like,
Yep.
and put my Girl Scout sash on and get ready for my girls.
All right. Yeah, I was looking. I was like, "Ooh, we're getting close to 3. Oh, 3 my time, 4 your time." I was like, "I know you got that Girl Scout meeting coming up."
Oh, they're gonna have a bunch of fun with it. I have one girl who's gonna be a little late anyway, so. But yeah, I need to get on there for the girls that are gonna come on time. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions or if there's any way I can further support you. And I can't wait to read the book and share it. And thank you everybody who's watched. I don't know that anyone's gonna watch this all the way through, and that's okay. But there's some really good topics here, some really good tips too within talking about a book, because that's what Scouters do. It's like basically we were around a campfire together. Just think of it as a campfire.
There you go.
In the daylight. But yeah, thank you for everybody who joined. Please do check out his book and buy it if you want to, on the many different ways that you can buy it. Or if you go and you happen to walk past a store, or you go to a store and you happen to walk past this book, go get it. And then you let us know what you think of it too. And you can post what you think below, because he will read them.
Absolutely.
And so
Please do. Remember, feedback is a gift.
It is.
Yes.
Okay. I will see you later, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao.